This is bizarre that I got here today. I'm going to bring somebody on board. I seem to have picked the right day to be here. Somebody did pop up here. Wandered over here while this is waiting on something to pop up. Everybody's just dialing in here. I'm at the Indiana Military Museum, and I got here on reenactment day.
That's the last thing I was expecting to see you drop off to me.
At first when I was you need stuff in the truck?
I picked the strangest day to come here. They're doing reenactments. I will circle back around here in a second. And they're doing sales and whatnot. Yeah, the gunfire you hear in the background, they're doing reenactments today. That is the Harley Davidson bike from Thor. Yeah, wow. But let me walk around here a little bit. I'll move back over here, but they're doing reenactments here today at the Indiana Museum. I did not know that, and I'm glad I came here. They said this place was 14 acres inside out, and you're hearing blanks and propane firing in the background. Do snap, that looks not unlike one we had in the motor pool. It was a leftover World War II model. This one's just sitting here gathering dust, but let me show you what this place has to offer. That's a BMP, that's Soviet armor. They've been making those since the 60s. Armored personnel carrier. 73 millimeter gun. I think they call this a BRDM. Same concept, but on wheels. Oh, that's a Lav. I'm sorry, that's not Soviet. That's an American Lav. The Marine Corps uses those. To this day, they use them. But I want to walk you around this whole place before we get into too much detail. These are bunker walls. This whole place is built up. This is the Indiana Military Museum. That looks ancient. Well, the sign's worn out. I can't read it. That looks ancient. They've got reenactors. Guys up on the hill. We'll go check them out here in a second. this right here in German weapons. Now check out this display. The black jacket, that's German tankers. I mean, look at all this. P-38, late war. That was a single grenade design. They would put grenades around it, and the idea was it made an anti-tank weapon. That's a Panzerfaust. That's the first portable system they had. MP40. The one on the back is a SP-44. That is a late war original assault rifle right there. That was the very first weapon that was called an assault rifle ever made. That was coined by Hitler, by the way. That is that's a flare gun, potato masher grenade. Wow, this is going to be an interesting time. This is a reproduction bunker, which apparently they use for something. Some part of this display. It's closed off. That's a mortar. I don't like the color on this, but that is a twin 40mm pom-pom. One person goes up and down, and one person does left and right on these weapons. I hate the color though. So like I said, we're just doing a tour around this whole thing real quick. That is a duck. UKW. It is basically a utility vehicle like a truck, but it floats. And it has a propeller, so they could drive it off a ship and drive back and forth to the beach. Not a lot of those around, but the ones that still exist are extremely valuable. Yeah, this is the Indiana Military Museum. I'm in Vincennes. Work with me. Indiana right now. And I can't see the screen real well because of the sun. C-47. This is what dropped all the paratroopers during the war. Wonderful airplane. It was a C-47 for the military, DC-3 in the civilian world. These were airliners for quite a long time after the war. They sold them in surplus, I believe. Yeah, this 8-inch howitzer. The signs are all faded out, but this little short thing. Yeah, that's full size. I think they called this one a Long Tom. Long Tom was the name of the gun. And later in the war, they would come up against fortifications, and that's artillery, right? They would come up against armored fortifications, pull up a couple hundred yards away, open the breach, stare down the barrel, and aim the weapon directly at a bunker and fire a shot. That's how you break the bunker open. Going in the shade here. I got nobody. Wow, that's a tall aircraft. That's a 40mm anti-aircraft gun, again, on display. That is a drone of some sort. Something out of the 50s or 60s, not familiar with it. But I'm just going to do a quick outside tour, then work my way back down the middle. There is no cost to come in here, which I thought was really cool. They ask for donations, but there's no actual cost. That funky looking thing, I believe, is British. Not familiar with it. Wow, does that thing sit low to the ground. That's some old, that jet. Out in the background, that's an F-84. That's a jet from Korean War era. Looks like a trainer, 2C. Could be an F-80. Again, the signs are hard to read. Oh, I lied. That's a Tu-33. That's the training version. See what I mean about the signs? That's the trainer. That funny looking thing is called a 2S1. That is a Soviet self-propelled gun. 60s design, yeah. 2S1. Captured in Desert Storm. Oops, abandoned. Okay, we have that's the A4 Skyhawk Sky. Can't remember the name anymore. I'm getting too old. All right, hold on. Yeah, this is a big event today. They've got a whole bunch of people. They got the local ROTC. Those guys hanging out. Yeah, Skyhawk. That's what that is. Skyhawk. Of course, you got to have an F4 Phantom here. That's tradition. Needs a paint job. There is the Huey, or I'm glad to call it the non-essential bus. But I used to fly. I actually learned how to fly in one of those.
No, I'm needing it, Bob.
Yeah.
Just waiting for Bill.
That's co-pilot side. Pilot sits over there, but I was at Sunburn. This little bitty green thing here is called an M114. It is an armored personnel carrier. Never saw one in service. Don't know why. But the one behind it is an M113, which I've seen lots of those. Digging the outfit. Right on. Yeah, like I said, we got reenactors everywhere. And he's got some kind of missile launch system up there. T-55. I am infinitely familiar with these. I actually drove one of these once. In there, it had a, well, it's not open, but it had like a gear shift knob sticking up. And you would put it in gear. It had a bowling pin in there on the floor. It was all chewed up, and you took the bowling pin and smashed it into gear. It was weird. Drove it just for fun. That's an M47 or possibly an M48, Korean War era, post-World War II era tank. And this is the last tanks it had. You had the driver's hole, and then you had a co-driver who also operated this machine gun right here. And this is a World War II. Tarawa taught them they needed armored support to get on the beaches, and this vehicle, whatever it's called, was a weapon used during the war to land on the beaches. You could drive it off a ship, and you see how tall this cleat is right here? That was like a boat paddle. So it could drive on land, but it could also paddle its way through the water because of those tall cleats. And this is like first generation beach assault. I don't think it has a propeller. Nope, it just uses the paddles. Oh, sorry. And yeah, it has a seam. I guess within limits that back would come down. I'm just gonna wander here and look at all this stuff. Well, that guy wasn't kidding. He said, "You're going to get some mileage in today." Here we go. Kind of looking into the sun. I think that's our artillery. That doesn't look like an anti-tank gun. Probably the classic 105. Perchance 45 millimeter. What's it say? 57 millimeter. That's a early war. I'm trying to read the signs. Like I said, the signs are all faded. That's a little stubby barrel right there. M2A 105. That might have been the mass-produced 105 cannon. But if anybody's saying anything, I can't see it. It's too sunny out here. That's an armored car. That, what are we going to call that? 37 millimeter? That's a lot smarter than I thought it would be. Seen these in the movies, never seen one up close. That's the half-track. To my knowledge, the Egyptian army still has these in service. You could drop these down and look through the little slits there in case you're getting shot at. But, you know, when they're dropping artillery near you, need to get up to the front. That's kind of the way to do it. I think this was an artillery piece. Yeah, this is like self-propelled artillery, early war. You'd crank that up and fire it at a steeper angle. What's it say here? See, these signs are shot. 25 pounder. That means they're British. walk over here towards some of these reenactor guys to see what they look like. Again, if you're putting some on the screen, I can't read it up. When I get a chance, I will.
I wish they talked about his background with the 82nd a little more.
Howdy. Reenactors, I love it. Or you guys missed the wrong, you're at the wrong war. I'm streaming right now. I'm just showing what you guys have.
Yeah.
What I like about the uniforms is they wouldn't fit a 12-year-old in most cases today.
Yeah. Lot skinnier then.
Yeah. And wool and hot. Wow. You guys got it all. Got the Garand, the Thompson.
Get out of your way here.
I had one of those when I was a teenager.
Carbine?
Yeah, but the ammunition was a dime a dozen back in the 80s. Now it's, not so much.
Yeah. Hard to get.
Yeah, it's not the same. Wow, the helmets, that's cool. Yeah, I flew in the Army back years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was on I tell people I'm one of the last guys that got to fly the Cobra before they got pushed out to pasture. Back in the day.
Right.
Are those, the reproduction I'm hoping, because then they would be tiny.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a mixture. Like the uniforms are reproduction, boots are reproduction. These are reproduction, but the belt and suspenders are original.
Wow.
This is a reproduction.
And they use a
set.
drawstring?
Yes.
That's how they did it?
So this is a 505th PIR thing. So the 101st Airborne and different regiments of the
Okay.
82nd, they would have had lift the dot fasteners, similar to what's on the canteen there. But the 505th, it for some reason didn't like or couldn't get a hold of the push snap, so they decided to use parachute cord. They had
All right.
abundance of this from parachute, so they just cut that off or pulled it off a roll and used that instead.
Yeah, I remember the guys when I was in that were airborne, they said about don't ever wear sonar or pin on rank as you get out, and it slaps the crap out of your face and cuts you up, and it did all kinds of bad things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. They had the Thunderbird. That was the B-17 that got hit at the air show and went down.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the town I live in Texas.
Really?
And I got to go for a ride in that. And I said, I'll pay for a ride, but I get to drive. I'm a pilot. I said, I get to drive. And he put me in the driver's seat,
Nice.
co-pilot seat, which for me was the pilot seat because it's backwards on a helicopter, and held the controls. And you're doing this.
Yeah.
The controls are so heavy. I'm thinking doing this for 6 or 7 hours, having to fight that's mechanical, and it was just, it's like driving an old steam tractor or something. It's real hard to fly. I'm like, man, that'd be exhausting weighing 120 pounds and wrestling with it. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I only did it for like 2 minutes. This looks awesome. You guys look good.
Thank
These
you.
outfits
Appreciate
are good. I'm glad I showed up here today. I didn't know what this place was until I got here.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's full of really interesting things.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
We're having a battle at 2 o'clock.
That's what the guy said.
Yeah.
I'm going to head over there. Wow. Guys' uniforms, they look great. Another tent. Set up. I'm going to see if I can read my screen. Anything on here? Chief. Hey, I'm back. Yeah, check this out. This is the Indiana they call it Indiana Military Museum. I don't know how far back this goes. There's indoor parts of it too. That's a Beech 18 with half the tail missing. That was the VIP transport of the era. German 88, and the aircraft gun / anti-tank gun. The Jeeps, these were produced by God knows how many different organizations during the war. When I was at the 2nd Armored Division, one of my last jobs was driving the Division Sergeant Major around, and we had the last Jeep. That's before they had good fire control, the nighttime radar. I think this is an A-26, no, a B-26, which is a high-performance bomber. It's used up into Vietnam. Boy, look at that. There's a concentration of firepower. Those aren't 50s. I think those are 20-millimeter cannons. I think. Good God almighty, that would be some freaking fire. Yeah, A-26 Invader. Does it say what it has? Yeah, it was up in Vietnam. Wow. And a random submarine. Don't know. Got the radial engines. This airframe is huge. Whoa. MiG-15. This These little fins on here, the American pilots said that kept the air from defecting. MiG-15. The Brits, right at the end of World War II, the British sent two jet engines to the Russians and said, "Hey, would you like to buy these under contract? We'll sell them to you." And they said, "No, we're going to keep them," and they just copied them. So the British provided the Soviets with the power plant for the MiG-15. This was the big nemesis during the Korean War. It has slow firing 30 millimeter cannon, whereas the F-86 had a rapid fire. It's the 50 caliber machine guns, which were kind of going outdated. These pilots did not have G suits, so they could use that against them. Continuing around, the F-16 still in service, and the F-16 was actually designed by two pilots. Sat down one day and said, "What if we were to build the ultimate plane? What would it be like?" Well, it'd be single engine, it'd be small, bubble canopy. They kind of laid out the diagram and they designed it. And the Air Force got their hands on it and said, "Yeah, that's cool." How many people had to crash into that? That's a MiG-21, I think. This is the follow-on of the MiG-15. Whoa, big old pitot tube. No rearward visibility. I'm hoping he has a rear. Yeah, I guess that's a mirror on top. Yeah.
They don't even reinforce it, they just put a modern force in
All right.
there.
Still walking around. I want to take you up here because there's guys wearing uniforms and dressing up and still walking around. It's too hot for that. Yeah,
It's coming off for a moment or two.
yeah. I wandered by here a minute ago. I'm streaming right now, and I noticed you got the SP-44. In Chicago, they had a gun buyback, and somebody walked in and dropped one of those on the table for their $50 and walked off, and they had a news conference going, "This is a $20,000 museum piece."
Yep.
And someone went, "Here, you can have it." I'm like, that's idiotic.
No,
Yeah.
it's part and parcel of the long-term drive to get rid of as many such weapons as possible so that civilians will always be unarmed civilians.
Oh yeah, I completely agree.
That's my take on it, so.
Well, my grandfather had a friend of his that died back in the 90s. He's a World War II vet, and he got stung by a bee and it killed him. And he had 500 firearms in his basement, and 5 of them were locked up, and he gave those to my grandfather, and I never found out what they were, but I was real curious. Is this your personal collection?
Yes.
That is awesome.
Now, the trick on that to be aware of is that both the MP40 and the STG-44 are replicas.
Understood.
Right now, it's really not a 20,000. I'd say if you actually had a period original STG-44, you're probably looking closer to 40 to 45.
Oh, good. This was years ago, though. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. And that's barrel's a little long. That's
That's
a
an artillery Luger.
Okay, and then the late P-38 and the flares.
And the flare gun, yes.
Is this the round? Yeah, the Panzer.
No, that's the Panzerfaust. The first
project-
Panzerfaust round.
Okay.
Here's your flare for the flare gun.
All right.
And then this is the late war
Yeah.
Panzerfaust with the bigger head.
And they actually copied the bazooka. They saw what the bazookas were in North Africa, and they said, "Hey, we can do that."
Right. And the difference is, in many ways, by doing the Panzerfaust, you don't have to have somebody loading and arming the rocket engine.
Yeah.
Because on the bazooka, somebody actually had to put the leads into the rocket
Understood.
engine
And that's the magazine extender.
for the Luger. Right.
Wow.
Now, in reality, that should be more on my World War I table than World War II.
Okay.
But it's something most people don't see, so it's
Yeah, that is unusual. I didn't even know
Yeah.
they had those.
And unfortunately, it tells you a tale about lots of replicas. So this is obviously not a real gun, and
Well-
because it's not a real gun, the airsoft version just doesn't quite fit, and I can't get it in.
Understood.
So that's why it's on the table, so you can see it, but it
Yeah.
doesn't actually fit in.
Understood. 'Cause, yeah, it looks brand new.
Exactly.
That's
But
cool.
I've also I've gone to the show of shows. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. The largest military show in the nation is called the Show of Shows. It's held in Louisville, at the fairgrounds. And most local gun shows, you'll have
maybe 50, 60, maybe 100 tables.
Okay.
So, say 100 tables, that's probably 50 or 60 vendors selling things, because some may have 2 or 3 tables.
One quick question. Would you like assistance picking this up and putting it over here in the shade?
No, this is fine.
All right.
The
I know that
shades-
itchy wool uniforms.
Well, this isn't so bad, and you know you're going to sweat. We only do this in the summer when the audience shows up,
Understood.
because that's when we're actually addressing the people. So you just know you're going to be sweating like a pig when you're doing it.
Yeah, I've seen this in the movies where they strap the.
The German term
Yeah.
for it was a Geballte Ladung, or what you might translate as combined unit.
Yeah, they
And
use
you-
it for anti-tank or whatever.
Right, it's effectively a satchel charge without
Yeah.
a bag.
Alrighty. Well, let me keep rolling, but I like your display. I like your weapons.
Thank you.
That's a good setup. You got the uniforms. You got everything.
I try to be. Now, we had 14 guys from our unit here yesterday, and so we had a couple of FG-42 replicas that were on the table.
I've shot the MG1 back in the 80s. It's the MG42 with the different name.
308.
Yeah, I got to shoot one. That was a fun weapon to shoot.
Yes. We're really lucky. We have, because we live in Indiana, which is a Class 3 state.
That helps.
And as is Kentucky, a number of people in our unit actually do have Class 3 weapons. So once a year we get together and we go to Knob Creek, not when the big shoot is. They're no longer holding the shoot, but one of our guys works out there. And so he'll reserve part of one of the ranges, and we'll do a Class 3 shoot for ourselves. And anybody that has Class 3 will bring them, and other people just bring ammo, and you can shoot their weapons.
Wow.
So one of them, there's a set of brothers. One sadly passed away, but the brother who's still alive has an original STG-44.
Wow.
So I've actually had a chance to put, 8 magazines through it to get a feel for it. And on this, I will tell you, the weight, the balance, the pointing is all the same as an original.
So it works.
Right. The trick is, this is put together by a company called GSG, which is German Sport Guns. And as you can tell when you look at the magazine, it's chambered for 22 long rifles.
Which is fine.
Right.
For plinking, absolutely.
Especially for demos like this, if people are going to get greasy hands on something, I'd much rather them do something that costs a couple $100 rather than a couple thousand.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And it's the same thing with the MP40, is it's also a replica piece.
Right on. Yeah,
But,
I'm
again,
out of Texas, and we had I'm a retired helicopter pilot.
Oh, okay.
And one of the pilots went to a gun show, and they had a mounted minigun
Right.
on a Long Ranger, and were flying in and shooting up targets with the miniguns.
Oh, that would be cool. Now, where in Texas, if I may ask?
I'm out of Houston, the Houston area.
I grew up in Durango, Colorado.
I'm from Fort Collins.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Back in the 80s, they had Class 3 stuff there.
Yeah. Colorado's changed so much.
Oh God, don't even go there. I was up there like a year and a half ago. Yeah, I'm done.
It's still beautiful, and
It's just-
I have family that lives there, so I don't mind visiting. But it's never the home that I came to.
No, I completely agree with you. It's just the whole feel has changed. Let me keep moving here. I got to keep this stream going, but I'll come back around again.
All right.
I like your setup.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Where I am currently in Vincennes, Indiana, at the Indiana Military Museum. I have to go into the shade to read this because I can't see it. And these are reenactors and displays that are set up. And this is a German setup over here. Wait a minute, you're a collaborator.
Huh?
You're collaborating.
We're prisoners.
Oh,
We're prisoners.
what's your setup? What's this one? I'm streaming them.
48. They are a German unit.
Okay. Like I said, it's a collaborator in the middle of them.
No, we're prisoners. We're family.
It's all about family.
That actually happened during the Battle of the Bulge. A unit fell back and the guys were hiding in a building. And one of the German soldiers that walked in was a missionary that had stayed at one of their soldiers' houses in the States. And he left. He's left them there.
Oh, God.
You even got the Iron Cross.
See, that's what you could have
Right on.
Come here, Ryan.
I'll keep checking out. This is a good setup here. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be sitting there. think they had six-packs. Oh, German. Huh. Hello. Howdy, howdy. Like, absolutely. They got krauts everywhere around here. Let me walk back down here. I don't think they put these walls in on purpose. I think they just took advantage of what was here. Okay, I'm going to walk down here and go into the building. I have not been in the building. Let me check something here in the shadows. Where's B2? All right, I don't even know what that means. All right, coming back around. Yeah, these guys have the ROTC people here. That's those kids right there. Yeah, Lab 25. That's what the Marine Corps uses to this day. But there's a museum annex over there. And whatever this is. Yeah, I'm going to go in here, move slow. I don't know if there's Wi-Fi. Let me, hold on, I'm going to wipe the page down and gotta get in the shadows. Hold on, this may disappear for just a second. All right, I'm back. Let me walk in here. I gotta check out the food. They're also selling knickknacks here. Alrighty, hold on. No food or drinks inside. Didn't say anything about filming. No, 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 no.
I need to okay. You said Scott?
Okay, let me come back in a minute when it's less crowded. They're charging you to get in, so let me walk over here, see what this is. Knox County Detachment Marine Corps. Gyrenes. So give me a minute here. Museum Annex. General admission tickets available. All right. Okay. So this is where I'm at. Been since Caesar or whatever. Let me go buy a ticket. Crowded in there, but let's try. These guys have got to be overheating in these outfits they're wearing here today. I mean, it's breezy, it's not humid, it's not terrible, but still warm. So let me try this. And I don't know, again, I don't know what's in here. Okay, here we go again. Oh, that's better. Alrighty.
Hi.
World War II vets admitted free. That's an easy sell. There's only a handful of them left.
That's true. Well, I had one here yesterday.
Alright, hold on. I'll just park that right there. What's the fee for that?
What are you doing, buddy? For an adult, $9.
Barely. Let's not push it. Alright. By the way, somebody hands you one of these, run your thumbnail down that. Feel that ridge?
Yeah.
That's how you can test a bill by looking them in the eye. Just something to remember. If somebody hands you money, you don't have to test it. You can just go zip it. The lapel.
Feel it. Put your fingernail down it.
And if it's been run through a copier, it's blurry. It's designed that way. It looks like it's been wet is what it'll look like.
Oh, wow.
So somebody hands you garbage, you'll know what you're looking at. I worked out in Vegas for years, and money's in the dark. You know, so you just go zip, zip, zip
Yeah.
through your bills.
So are you a veteran?
Yes.
We don't want it.
Can't you tell by the way I walk? Oh, well, you've got that.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, which one of you is the bouncer? I'm thinking it's her.
Well, she is actually,
Bouncer. There it is. See?
she's going to actually get Put your stamp on your hand so that you
Oh,
can
the
go in and
branding.
out of the
Yes,
building.
I understand.
Brand you. Yes.
Simon, I got this one. No, I
She'll be
actually-
right with you.
Oh, you're
Sorry.
Oh, oh. These are like 8 dollars. Just to get a big one.
Have you ever written your name with a bullet before?
There's your change.
When you get all
your
done
receipt.
and you
Thank
put
you.
it back through, you see this? That's
here.
a 50 caliber pen. You
Oh,
can
right
sign
on.
your name with it when you.
Stand up, moving out, and whoop.
Would you
Let's see the official
Underneath.
Have you
underneath.
seen your pockets?
Ow, 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 ow. Okay. All right.
They're
Thanks. No, never been.
Well, welcome. Are you from Vincennes?
I'm out of Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm passing through, and I found this place, and I'm glad I came here today. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Yeah, you came at the right time. Well, it's always the right time. But anyway, it starts this way. These are World War II, then it starts over pre-Civil War.
Okay.
And it follows a timeline. So it just goes all the way around the wall. It ends back there. Or the timeline ends back there.
Okay.
But we have 2 cases here and then some around the corner. You don't want to miss either.
Okay.
This is Red Skelton. He's from here.
Alrighty, I remember.
So he gets a prominent spot. And there's General Haig, who's not from here, but he gets next to Red. And then around the corner, there's 2 larger, you'll see it, displays. One's for George Field, which was a active military base in World War II in Lawrenceville, Illinois. So if you just went up this road, turned left at Vigo, and kept going, you would have run into
All
it.
right. So this is pre-Civil War, so back when my mother was in high school. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so it starts there, and but I forget if I said this already, but make sure you look up. Lights on the ceiling, on the shelves, and
Oh,
bathrooms are
absolutely.
around the corner.
Okay. Is that Alice or Alice the Hammer? What do they call you?
Oh, Alice.
No, not the Hammer. Okay, I just checking. Thank you.
Just Alice.
Thank you. General Grove. Not familiar. And I don't know if this feed is working. It's not cutting out, so that's a good sign. That guy's pretty tall for a Civil War hero, dude. The old bronze cannon, and there's how you adjust the height. That's kind of cool. PT boats. Yeah, they're doing that reenactment stuff out there. That's pretty cool. Whoa. I'm guessing these are original.
That's
1821. Look how tiny that handgun is. That is teeny tiny.
And I'm not sure if it's, cannonball or if it's a bedpost off. I don't
The
know.
units did have kids in them that
It is that small.
played drums and played the
Very
flutes
thin.
during the war. And if this is having stream problems, somebody let me know.
All the way to Kentucky. We were up in the Shoals area.
They found these in people's closets.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Probably duck those up. That's the fuse on the bump right there. They would light that and send it down range and it would explode.
Is it the dam? Well, they found the basket all
They
around.
found the shrapnel from an exploded shell. Wow.
It's near Shoals. It's like, okay.
Like I said, this is giving stream problems. Somebody please tell me.
And like,
I'm sorry. I get road rage walking through museums. World War I. Old action. Still with the little bitty handguns. It's a very skinny uniform right there. There's your warning air raid horn. Somebody went rooting around on a battlefield. They even found a rusty handgun. Yeah, somebody went digging. This is something the Americans, again, teeny tiny uniform. Field bolt action 30-06. I just watched the Sergeant Milk movie, and that's what they gave him. It's got the pop-up sights and everything. Tiny uniform. Talking about trench warfare. That's the 1911 handgun 45. That has been around since 1911. It was in service. I carried it when I was a tanker. Army used to use what's called a Navy 36, and they would be fighting in the Philippines against these drugged up Filipinos, and the 36 couldn't knock them down because they were wired up on something. That's German different. So they went for the 45 because it gave them a bigger boom for the buck. Little Luger, I don't know. I've never seen that one before. That I've seen pictures of that. That is like first generation body armor. And they also made an underwear that looked like it. And the flare pistons to signal the attack or advance or retreat or whatever. Little teeny tiny hat. Teeny tiny. And a teeny tiny helmet. Revolver. The last World War I veteran in the world died in 2012. It was a female nurse. And there's old Sergeant York. Trench art. I actually have some of this at the house from World War II. Guys get bored and cut up shell casings. They made a mug out of it. Yeah, I've seen this kind of stuff before. World War I memorials. Wow. Different area. Germany was found in the backlot of a construction company which had been involved in post-World War II cleanup and restoration of Germany. After sitting on us for 60 years, it was forgotten. Okay, so this was a part of a monument from World War I that got destroyed during World War II, and that was the only piece left. These guys brought it here. They purchased it. Wow. So they saved it. General Patton. By the way, he did not sound like George C. Scott. Apparently he had a squeaky voice. Let's swing around here real quick. Look at this. Stuff sneaking up behind me. That guy's tiny. This is the original machine guns. If you look, it's liquid cooled. It would go into this water tank. It would suck, well, I don't know how it works, but it sucks water and it pees water out and you catch it and you reuse it. And that's how they cooled it. And then they found out if they vented the barrel, it worked just about the same. So they stopped with that system. I don't know what that is, but it's freaking, that's tiny. 37 millimeter. World War I. Little bitty gun. Little bitty gun. Oop, now we're getting into World War II here. Again, the flare gun, start to take off. This is the Air Force stuff. That rank is pilot. You've seen the German wings. They're flat. These are bumped. Those are the Luftwaffe guys wore those. That's a British. It's a Mark III. They call it a Sten gun. After the Battle of Dunkirk, and they fell back. They lost all their weapons. They needed weapons quick, and they had captured. Apparently, recently they had captured an ammunition ship, an Italian ammo ship, and it had like 15 million rounds of 9mm. They said, make us something in 9mm. And a bicycle manufacturer came up with this design. It was stamped. It was cheap to make, and that's what they made mass production. I think That is a German machine gun designed for aircraft. See the sights? See the sighting system? And it had these two drums, but the drums held, I believe, 71 rounds of ammo. Let's see here. That's training. 71, so you'd be squirting at something and it would run out immediately, and it was maddening for the crew. Oh, this is Pearl Harbor stuff. All right. Piece of Japanese aircraft. Yeah, they started cutting pieces off the aircraft that crashed. Everybody kept a piece of them for souvenir purposes. The Doolittle raid. Yep. You know about that one where they flew over Tokyo and dropped a few bombs, did basically no damage, but that wasn't the point. The point was they flew over Tokyo and dropped a few bombs. That's a tanker's helmet. Right there. The old Thompson. See, there's the air-cooled model, not the liquid, 30 caliber. They use those into the 50s that I know of. That's Japanese right there. The Nambu. It's kind of a slow-firing machine gun. And Japanese pistols, which were terrible, by the way. Little bitty, itty bitty little grenades. We're talking this big, little tiny grenades the Japanese used. Little tiny binoculars. That's a Soviet outfit right there. M1 used to have one of those when I was a teenager. That's a Browning automatic rifle. Only had a 20-round magazine, which is a little restrictive. I think that's the 40mm shells. See the guys holding them. Drop the stripper clip into the cannons. Keep blasting away. What do we got here? Wow. That is the later, heavier Panzerfaust. That's the earlier model, the little wimpy one. And if you watch videos, you'll see people at the very end of the war marching off into the meat grinder, and some guys are carrying these and some guys are carrying. That's good for, I believe, 100 yards, and that's only good for like 35 yards. Yeah, it'd be right up in a vehicle's face to fire that. Wow, the individual canisters for the artillery pieces. That's interesting. And that in the back, the rocket launcher. That's a old school, like early war bazooka. They used them in Korea and they were completely useless because they couldn't go through the T-34 tanks they encountered. Ooh, Tellermine. It's an anti-tank, anti-vehicle mine system. A human being isn't heavy enough to set it off. Vehicle would. If God is my witness, my grandfather had one of those. A little teeny tiny 25. I think he had one. I remember him showing it to me. That's the inflatable life vests they wore, and those occasionally wash up on the beaches in Normandy to this day. And grease gun, that is a cheap knockoff. That is a cheap knockoff of a Thompson submachine gun. Hold on here. Right there. Great weapon, but it had to be milled, and it cost X amount of dollars. Coming back over here, that's the grease gun. Shot I think it had the same magazine, but it was a stamped weapon, and it was, you couldn't hit anything with it. And you can't see it, the bolts on the other side, but you cock it, because we had one when I was in, we had one in the armory. You stick your finger in and you pull the bolt back. It didn't even have a handle, but it opened, the safety was closing that cover, but you can't hit anything with it, but it makes a lot of noise. But they make these for like $30 back then, and it was just a massive stamped out piece of equipment. I'm going to go on a limb and say this stuff, Normandy artifacts, yeah, people found these bits and pieces on the beach. The airborne guys. It's just amazing that all this stuff you're seeing here, somebody had this in their closet. Somebody had this on a shelf, and they were cleaning out a veteran's house, and they said, hey, look what we found. I had it when I was in Germany in '87 playing Army. I had an old guy give me a gas mask, a German gas mask. It was a late war model, and I had it. I didn't know what to do with it. And I took it to the 2nd Armored Division Museum, and I offered to give it to them. They were thrilled because they didn't have one of those particular models. Ooh, bomber cruise. Here we go. Air cruise. Again, talk about the damage. That is original. He looks cool. Another flare gun. I think this the females. They had the WASPs, the Women Army Service Pilots. They transferred aircraft all over the States, and they started flying to Europe to leave men to go for the combat roles. And Rosie the Riveter. Give them both barrels. That's a good logo. Whoa. Again, now this is what everybody seemed to have in their house. Everybody had these in the drawers left over from the war, and I used to collect this stuff. I still have some ration cards, ration book. I have some of these at my house on a little display case. Now, if you had that in your window, like 1, 2, 3, 4, however many stars, that's how many family members you had fighting in the war. And if you had gold stars, they died in the war. So you might have a blue and a gold, or a gold and a gold, or blue, 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 gold. It just depends. But everybody held those in their windows of their houses. So they talk about blue star families and gold star families. All of this stuff that came out of somebody's cabinets. He does not look happy to be there. This is the German stuff. And there's that sign again, Kilroy. Kilroy was here, and as this history goes, Kilroy was an inspector of supplies going overseas, and he was accused of not doing his job. So he would write Kilroy was here in random places to prove he had been there, and then everybody started writing that everywhere. Iwo Jima sand. I don't want to brag, but I have some of that at my house. I also have some sand from Peleliu. Swing back this way. That is twin 50s on probably on a PT boat. Single charging handle. Nope. Dual charging handle, but how does it feeds? And is this mechanism backwards? It feeds from the other side. That's interesting. And there's your sights, your pipper, and your sights. And that catches your empties right there. And you put ammunition in these boxes. I didn't know they made a 50 caliber. They could reverse the mechanism. That's interesting. Is that a 50? Yeah, those are 50s. Yeah, that's a 50 cal. Wow. We'll walk through the middle here. Just walk down. Yeah, I'll walk down to the end here and start over again. Gas mask for a horse, World War I. Check it out. And you thought putting a mask on a child was a pain in the ass. Do not open. Why not? Okay, I talked about this the other day. These are the Japanese, which this is the Type 95. There's a 95 and a 97. Yeah, that armor, I think you could knock this out with a water balloon if you threw it hard enough. But it's got this little bitty gun. That's like possibly a 37. What's it say here? Good for 28 miles. Yeah, 37 millimeter. Little bitty gun. And a little bitty machine gun right there. And there used to be one on the back of the turret also. Yeah, there it is. That's the back of the turret. They only made a very small run of tanks during the war. It wasn't really their thing. But yeah, rear firing machine gun. I think it only had 3 people in it, if I'm not mistaken. But let me do Let me do this area and I'll go back down the next wall. This is the M3? M5. It's M3 or M5? Let me find the data plate here. I'm not showing it. Okay, hold on a second. Let me walk around here, sorry. Yeah, this tank had a little wimpy gun. That is not, there's no data plate for this. That sucks. It's M3 or M5. It is called a Stuart tank, has a little bitty gun. And if I'm not mistaken, it has a radial air-cooled engine. And it's light armor, light gun. The British loved it, especially in the Desert War, because this thing could do like 50 miles an hour, which back then tanks went 20. So you get out there and you could zigzag around and, I mean, absolutely move to get out of the way of everybody, but there's no data plate. So you got the driver's hole, and then your co-driver and his gun stuck out right there. Yeah, but there's no sign plate here. Oops, sorry. But again, this is 37 millimeter. Not much to work with. But the Brits loved them. That is a World War I outfit. You know, Marine Corps. Look at the size of this thing. That is teeny tiny. Still teeny tiny. German World War I. Small person. Slightly bigger. British, but not much. Spearhead. That's 3rd Armored Division. Yeah, 3rd Armored. So black. 1914 to 1918. Now that was technology for the day right there. Look at that photo. They took a photo not unlike that in 1940 of the 2nd Armored Division. It was much taller, and it was the entire division. It was 10,000 people in the photo, and everybody's standing at attention except one guy in the front row with his hip cocked off to one side and his hand in his pocket. That guy forgot to be the hero. USS Indianapolis, you know the story behind that. Nope, that's the submarine, never mind. The Indianapolis was the ship that was sunk at the tail end of World War II. The cruiser and the crew was in the water, and most of them got eaten by sharks. But they named, cruisers back then were named after cities, and now they've passed on the names now going to submarines, apparently. That is familiar. Uniform, that looks like something I used to wear. That looks familiar. No NASA for you. Who the heck could fit in that? Apparently that guy. Apparently Herb fit that. That's about a 25-inch waist. Yeah, Admiral William Sizemore. I love the brown shirts, by the way. Okay, let me circle back here. Harley Davidson made motorcycles. They put out a contract. My grandfather told me about this. You have, I think that's your gear shift lever. It doesn't have a foot clutch. There's your clutch, I think. But lubrication caution. They put out a contract to all these motorcycle manufacturers, and they said, we want a bike that does X, Y, and Z. And one of the criteria was it couldn't be over 500 cc's. So Harley Davidson put out their model, and it was a 750. Donald, where is that? Oh, I am in last photo. Holy crap. How far back is that? I am in Vincennes, Indiana, at the Indiana Military Museum. Go back to the last photo. How far back is the last photo? Which would be this guy? Right here? Is that your question? Herb Sewer. You pronounce that. Sewerith. No. We got an astronaut. What does the photo look like? I mean, what am I looking for here? Work with me. General Mark Clark, that guy was freaking vainglorious right there. Yeah, what's the last photo I'm looking for? This guy had a chance to encircle the entire German army in Italy, what was left of it. Instead, he turned to go to Rome to say, look what I did. And when he got to Rome, on June 4th, he was headlines, and then June 6th happened, and everybody forgot about him. But he was extremely vainglorious. Yeah, tell me what I'm looking for here. I don't know what last photo I'm looking for. I'm trying to open the stream is working. Yeah, if you can describe what I'm supposed to go look at, let me know. I'll go find it. Oh, the photo of... I'm trying to move slow here. This photo? Oh, the photo of what's his face over here. All right, I'm going back over to old Herb. What is there something you wanted to ask? He said, if there's a particular picture you want to see, let me know and I'll go back to it. Just go back. Go back where? You got to tell me what I'm looking for here. Again, 25-inch waist. We got these guys down here. But these tanks are cool. Tank is tiny, but I like it. All right, well, let me keep moving on here because there's another whole other building out here I have to get to. Jeeps, again, there were multiple manufacturers of these, but the Harleys, like I said, Harley made theirs a 750, and of course they won the contract over that. And the Jeep, where's the gas tank on a Jeep? Is underneath the seat. I know where the gas cap is, but it's under the seat. That's how you get in that thing. Well, we had one of these. So I got the floor starter, but I drove one of these for the division sergeant major on Flathead 4. We'll go about 50 miles an hour. That's not a Willys Jeep. That's a CJ. That's full size. They're showing tractors. Okay, I want to continue going around the corner here.
Don't say like that.
That's POWs being gotten in the POW camp at the end of the war. That's a famous photo of that guy right there. Very famous. That's Goring. He told everybody to fight to the death, and he surrendered. That is an insanely famous photograph, and the two people were identified years later, and the guy held his arm like that to show her face. That's why he's holding her awkwardly. That looks like a Norden bomb sight. Oh, computerized. B-29, that's the upgrade to that. That's the Korean War exhibit. Flamethrowers. Those went out of style eventually. The Grand, the M1 with a long magazine, or the M2 because they made them fully automatic. And there's the grease gun I was telling you about. There's the cover. The M3 you flip up and it's finger cocked. And that's a German. That might be Keitel right there. Now that's almost a full-size jacket right there. General Van Fleet. I'm guessing that's Van Fleet. That's a 30 caliber machine gun with a bipod mount. That's kind of sharp looking. Which war is this? This is Korea, isn't it? Yeah, this is the Korean War. Little tiny burner stove. This is a shell. I'm not sure. That looks like possibly 57 millimeter. This is going to be a recoilless rifle. See all these holes? that vents the charge, so there's no kickback while you're firing it. You're holding the rocket up the launcher. But that's a recoilless rifle round. If you look there. Recognize that. Who's this guy? Yarborough. Sorry, don't know him. This is the entry into Vietnam. They still had those jackets when I was in service. That's an M60 right there, M60 machine gun. The M14 was the early war weapon before they went to the M16. Tanker helmets, used to wear those. The Golf Talking Yacht Club. That's armored, early war armored personnel carrier helmets. CVC, Combat Vehicle Crew, however that means. This is Viet Cong. SKS, semi-automatic AK-47. Trigger's about as sensitive as a staple gun. Let's see here, RPG, those are still around. That's the Claymore mine. You set that out in front. It says front towards enemy. You pull the trigger, you hit the clacker, and it sends an electrical charge and it fires ball bearings. It's a great defensive weapon. That's General Westmoreland. Hey, Tony. I am at the Indiana Military Museum, War Museum. It's in Vincennes, Indiana. This is along the Illinois border on the south part of the state, and they're doing reenactments outside. This is a law, and some people call it a LAWS rocket. Law means light anti-tank weapon. You pull this pin, and it pops the cover off, and then you can see right here the seam, and you slide it, and the sights pop up, and then you pull that little handle this way. It goes click, and it's armed, and the sights have little measuring hashes for range up to 300 yards, and it's good for like 3/4 of an inch. If you need to knock a hole in a bunker or a light armored vehicle, it's only 66 millimeters, only like this big. It's really small. But we used to play with those in the range. You shoot, you throw it away. It's fiberglass. It's disposable. I've seen this once before, the M79 grenade launcher. That thing is tiny. I mean, the length of it is very, very small. I did not realize how tiny it was. And there's, of course, the M16. Oh, this is talking about Panama. Remember him? Remember Pineapple Face? I used to wear those. I used to wear that. AKs, Czechoslovakian rifles. Desert Shield. This is the what they wore, the Iraqis' uniforms. AKs and RPGs, which out there in the long-range shots of the desert don't do you any good. Wrong uniform for this desert. Right uniform for the desert. More of that. Oh, notice his uniform was all nice and pressed. Really? General Tommy? Huh. I like that pixelated stuff's kind of sharp looking. That's an AT, I think it's called an AT4. This is kind of the end of the inside here. Little tiny Japanese. They only made like 1,200 tanks. We made like 50,000 during the war. This is some Navy stuff here, which I don't know jack squat about the Navy. But let me run you outside, and I will take you to the next building, which is physically larger than this one. Remember, it cost me $8 to get in here. So we're going to get our $8 worth today.
Yeah, but the doesn't know that I'm
All right. So we're going to go over here.
Joy, the other building, sir?
Oh, I will. Thank you. Yeah. Oh my God, daylight. Yeah, I gotta She branded me so I can walk over here. I'm gonna go check out these vendors here in a minute, see what they're selling. Probably get lunch here while I'm in it. So hold on. The war horse.
We got the best catfish you ever had.
So you're the bouncer.
I'm the bouncer.
I knew it. Gotcha. I'm gonna take a peek at what my battery looks like here real fast. Hold on. 48. Okay, I got half my battery left.
Don't laugh.
Whoa. Are you the bouncer?
He is.
I can tell. It's got that look. All right. No, sir, I have not. It's a miracle. All right, I'm streaming. I'm kind of showing video of this. It's from
Okay. We'll start here with World War One. The trench is a walkthrough exhibit,
Okay.
and it goes in sequence down to the Pacific,
All right.
cross over out into Europe,
Whoa.
come back this way to Korea, Vietnam, and Desert Storm.
It goes around over there.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Right on. Are there rats in here?
Yes.
Okay, I knew it. All right.
Watch your head.
Okay.
Don't get shot.
It's a German, liquid cooled machine gun. All right, here we go. I don't think it was this clean during the war. They really should clean their trench off. Wow, they spent some time building this thing. He looks totally bummed. Yeah, it's when trench warfare kicked in, the war just kind of stalled out. Because remember, every war they train for is always based on the last war. And the next war is always different. And one of the problems they ran into was automation. Automatic weapons were a little outside what they could handle. Oh, these are the periscopes they used. Where you could look, you see the trench is up here. They invented this so you could see the trench lines. That's for little kids down there. Same concept, so you can stick your head up. And that is a very heavy mortar coming around. There is one of these at a museum in College Station, Texas. After the war, they were transporting them. In 1920, they were driving them somewhere and it broke down, and the military just abandoned it. And some local took it, pulled it onto his property, yanked the turret off, and used it as a tractor for decades. And then later on, they found it like in the 90s, and he gave it to the military, and they gave it to a museum, and ended the turret back, and it went to, it ended up being put in that museum, put back together again, being the only one of these that was a wartime used weapon that showed up in the United States. I don't know where they got this one from. And that's a light tank. It was the French version, the Char. Yeah, look at the rounds hanging from there, right there. That claw thing, those little fat bullets. Short, fat rounds. I get a kick out of that. Stripper, World War I stripper. Show off. Skinny. Yeah, because World War I, they weren't ready for that. They weren't ready for fully automatic weapons, and that really surprised people. So they had to adjust. Now that is a short mortar. Wow. Look at that.
Let's see, there's 4 of the 5 said yes, so 80% of my total population.
Wow, that's ancient. Feet, legs, arms. I don't know how I'm supposed to go around here. I guess this way. That's horse-drawn. It's got seats. Yeah, they would double up and run with them. Oh wow, home front. Here we go. I remember stoves like that. This looks like Grandma's house, doesn't it?
That one does.
That's what I'm saying. This looks familiar.
Yeah, it looks just like Grandma's house.
I'm not old. This looks just like this when I was a kid.
That was just like
Somebody's coming home. Check out the glass. See the bevel in the glass? That's an original door. I'm gonna come back around this
Oh,
one.
remember paper dolls?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I loved them. I loved them. I played
Wander over here real quick. That is a large bullet. Rosie the Riveter. Remember back then women were not in the workforce, so that was kind of a novel concept. Scrap metal drives. That's a little flathead motor. But yeah, they did scrap metal drives. They were getting so much scrap at one time they told people to stop because they couldn't process it. That is an ammo can right there. That is a 20 millimeter ammo can. I've seen those before. That's the breech. Put the round in, you slam the breech, and twist that, and it locks the rounds in. Radio engines I like so much. That really wasn't the style back then, but okay. Old Stool Barracks. Yeah, we got to do something with that haircut, dude. Lucky Strike. Oh, I remember that. They had those when I was in. They didn't have a shower curtain, though. They did have group toilets. I'll swing around here. Oh, let me finish this. These are barracks in the field. And they had the rifle rack. Itchy wool uniforms. I can't see it, but that's Hitler over there with the dartboard. And here is the larger Japanese tank. Fredericksburg, Texas has, and that's the Type 97. And that's a little bit bigger. 20 millimeter cannon. Oh, that's twin 50s right there. You put your shoulders in here and hide behind the plate and hope for the best. That's an LCI, Landcraft Infantry, but it would hold small vehicles. That's a single 20 millimeter. Remember the ammo can I was telling you about? That's it right there. That's a 20 millimeter. That whole barrel would move up and down when it fires. That is a Japanese heavy. What caliber is that? It's heavy. Okay, that says a Stinger. That weapon right there, that's a 30 caliber, and a handheld mounted like a normal 30 caliber machine gun fired at a certain rapid rate. That Stinger came out of an airplane, and it's had a higher rate of fire. And these people modified and put a stock on it and a carrying handle, and it had a wildly higher rate of fire, and they'd carry it like that and shoot it. And they called it a Stinger because it was a non-standard weapon. And there is the Higgins boat. A contract went out. The government said they saw the Japanese had a type of boat that would pull up on a beach to disgorge equipment and people, steal some shit. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But had a boat design, and they said, we need people that give us ideas for a craft that could do what the Japanese boat did. You know, this concept of a boat with a ramp, which is what this is. So they put the contract out, and they said, okay, everybody, we need you to come up with an idea. And Charles Higgins in New Orleans invited them to come to his factory, and he said, you mean like this? Because he was already making them for swamp use. And there's the rope. You climb down the ramp and you get in up the side of a ship while it popped up and down. And this is supposed to be this setup here. Those are gyrenes. Notice they have camouflage. The Army didn't. The Army had just one color. Yeah, this is a Japanese 37mm, little tiny artillery piece. There's the mortars. Okay, this is the back side of that. Let me spring the camera around. And that is the world famous 88. It's an anti-aircraft gun, but they also use it as an anti-tank weapon because it is a hypervelocity round. They'd fire it, that shell would go through you, and you wouldn't know it was there until after it passed by because you couldn't hear it coming. That is a Toad, also an aircraft weapon. Wow, that's kind of cool. 20mm flak gun. That's kind of cool. But that's the 88. Again, an aircraft weapon, but could do the anti-armor role. So if you look, there's the tank kills, and there's the aircraft kills. So they kept the numbers up. They still had these in service when I was in. These little tiny trailers with the big tow pingle. Remember lining up a trailer? How hard it was? That's quite easy. Seriously, dude. Haircut. I'm going to circle back over here. That is a famous event that happened during, what was it? They jumped in Normandy, and a guy got hung up on a church. And I think they're making note of that. He stayed up there all day. He played dead, and the Germans left him alone. It's got bullet holes. I'm going to walk around the back side of this stuff and come back. Gotta check my battery again. 39, I'm good. Back stone. Hey, I think your building's falling apart. Talking about the standardization, the powertrain, the engine and transmission, that would fit in that. It was all standardized. It's a pretty good idea. That's a German guy. German uniform. Let's see what this weapon is. A Pac 40, 75mm anti-tank gun. Munitions cart. So that's one of their, probably a hyper-velocity round. There's your kill rings. How many they got? Coming around slow, hoping the stream's working. That's an awkward-looking vehicle. I don't recognize that. A Dodge weapons carrier. 1.5 ton. Never seen it before. Huh. And it's got a serious trailer on it. 1.5. That I've seen. This only had, is a straight 6, and it only had 90 horsepower, but it had torque for days. It was good for about 45 miles an hour. That looks German. Uh, 40mm anti-aircraft. Yeah. Again, this is all stuff they brought back after the war. Again, same engine, same transmission, same fuel, standardized. Apparently one of their vehicles has driven off with or without assistance. And that is, wait for these guys to go by. Oh, These are the trailers hauling the rounds. But look at this cute little thing. I can admit, I've never seen a tug quite like that before. But you could use it as a bumper car. That's kind of cool. But this thing, I've only seen one picture of this before. This was an airdroppable scooter. Little bitty engine, could tow a little tiny trailer, and it was a scooter. Look at that. It was an airborne only thing. Again, this is I think this is a 3/4 ton truck. Wander, I'm trying to stay away from these people. Wander over here. And that is the infamous T-34 tank. I think this is a Korean War display. There was a 76 and an 85 millimeter version of this tank during World War II. On the Eastern Front, it was by far the best tank. It's because of the width of the track. Over the soft terrain, the German track was, half that, and it would sink into the mud. But this is what the North Koreans, and then I don't know if the Chinese ever had, but North Koreans had these. But this is what our little tiny 2.36 inch bazookas tried to take out, but the armor was too thick. Until they came out with a 3.5 super bazooka, they were useless against it. There's a little 30 caliber, little bitty weapon, man portable. One guy carried the weapon on his shoulder. It pops off the pin right there. Another person would carry the tripod. You set it up, and you could get a pretty good rate of fire going. And I knew a Korean War vet said the only problem with that weapon is you could knock down a bunch of Chinese, and if you shot 2 to 3 would take their place. It was an endless supply. 50 cal, that has been in service since the 1920s and is still in service. That right there is awesome. You can't get real close to it, but if you look at the turret, the metal of the turret, it's extremely crude. They're cast. They don't mill this. It's just they pour it into a mold, and they pop it out. Again, I can't get close enough to it, but you can see the roughness of the surface. They just paint over it because its shelf life was not considered long enough to lose any sleep over it. In World War II, the life of a T-34 tank was 6 months, but it was 12 hours after the first shot was fired. You couldn't even change the oil in the transmission without pulling the engine out because it wasn't going to be around long enough, was what they had theorized. Wow, that's kind of fun looking. 37 millimeter and 50 caliber an aircraft weapon. Wow, so you got the 50, 37 millimeter, and a 50. Okay, that's interesting. I like it. I don't know how you use it, but I like it. There's a little bitty 50 millimeter mortar. That's kind of cool. That is a Russian artillery piece, 1942. And you watch the movies, that's the Maxim. That is the classic. That gun's been around since 1910. And they would put handles on it, and going into combat, they would just pick up the rear end and run on wheels. Check it out. They could run into battle with it, tagging it behind them, and then drop it and set it up and use it. It's liquid cooled. That's the big jacket on there. There's where the water goes in, and it has a drain. You just recirculate the water. That's kind of cool. That is a 75 millimeter pack howitzer. This is for like jungle warfare. Look how short the barrel is on this thing. It was the lightest thing, the smallest physical size of the 75 millimeter they come up with. It is a pack howitzer. There it is. It's for jungle warfare. I'll wander back over here. This is called a Bren gun carrier. The Brits use this. This was basically their Jeep. Well, universal gun carrier, Bren. And the Canadians, the Brits use these things as a Jeep. They use them till like the 1960s. Super light armor, have a weapon. If you had to, you could hide. Hide behind there if they're shooting at you. But they use them for transport of people, weapons. They made mortar guns out of them. Whoa. That is a little tiny bolt action. It's like a rifle, but it says smoke discharger. That's interesting. So you could hide in this. They used them to tug, carry trailers, and carry people. And like I said, there were mortar teams that were set up in here. The Bren gun carrier. Like a mild Save you from artillery shreds, and that's about it. Shards, excuse me. What's that? A Russian 14.529 aircraft gun. Huh. Never seen one. Okay, one person did the left and right. One person did the up and down. Huh, same setup. And at this point, we're moving down here. Again, got to check my battery. What are we doing here? 33. My battery's still alive for now. I'm gonna end up killing this battery doing this. Oh, there it is again. A recoilless rifle. See the big handles? Big handles on the back. Looks like I popped out there for just a second. This is a Vietnam-esque weapon system with scary look. I'm looking for the 50. Where is it? Not seeing it. Well, that's disappointing. There's a 50 caliber machine gun usually strapped on here somewhere because the trajectory of a 50 caliber bullet is the same as these rockets. So you would fire the 50 a few times until it showed the hitting where you wanted to go. You pull the trigger and fire all this stuff. But this is their Vietnam section. That is a mule. They just had getting rid of those when I came in. Totally exposed drivers. There's a transport vehicle. Now here's the old M60. Coming around slowly. Ooh, was ist das? That's some kind of big gun. Huh. Yeah, those Jeeps didn't have. There's the Army. There's the recoilless. Oh, there it is. Okay. I was telling you about the 50 caliber. Okay, look right here. You see this? There's a magazine right there. That's the 50 caliber. How you aim this thing is you cranked the handles, but you would fire the 50 and you keep moving it until the 50 caliber hit where you wanted the rocket to go. Because like I said, the trajectory was the same. And then they'd line up the rocket and go boom. And that was your aiming system. Cool, huh? Ambulance. In shockingly good shape. Don't recognize this. Don't recognize this at all. It's an aircraft. That is not a tank. What do they call that? The M109. That is a self-propelled artillery piece, enclosed, obviously. Get on the back of that doors from the back. Say, yeah, M109 right there. A Paladin or something. Yeah, but this was that right there is a Vietnam-only weapon, but I don't see the 50 caliber on there for some reason. And a mortar pit. That, a listening device. I guess they would drop those in. See if there are people walking by? I guess. Let me see. How do I get out of here? Go back outside. Walk around a little bit. Let me check my battery. 31%. Still working. Still working. But I am inside the Indiana War Museum, I guess they call it. It's in Vincennes, Indiana, right along the Illinois. And yes, they still use spotter planes. I did not, wait a minute. I didn't even see that right there in front of my face, that rifle. But there's the old spotter planes they used. Okay, moving slow here. I don't want this to go out. Framework. Alright, we're going to wander back outside. At least a mock-up of a World War I airplane. Oh, okay, there. You look at these pictures, that shows German tanks in World War I. They found one a few years ago buried. That one right there, it's a big box. And they found one buried in somebody's yard. But that's what it looked like inside. You had this steel box. And you just shot through the sides and it was 360 degrees. Wow, I'm surprised they have that mock-up. All right, I'm going to wander us back outside. There you go. Alrighty. Thanks, sir. Whew, back outside. Let me wander over here. Just walk over. Yeah, I'm going to be getting food here in a little while. We go down here, area I haven't been to. Yeah, they're making a day out of this. Victory Theater. Love the uniforms. Yeah, there's vendors, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, they're doing the reenactment stuff over here. Again, Brent gun carrier. We saw inside. Oh, holy crap! They parked these. These weren't here when I walked by earlier. I don't remember the name of these, but this is their version of a half-track. Yeah, they're doing live fire. This is the German version of a half-track. They just found one of these in Poland. They pulled it out of a river just the other day, and somebody's in the process of restoring it. This is like a something 152 or something like that. And this, of course, is the American half-track. Well, they know how to store ammunition on here. Again, you have windshields, but you have armored. You can drop down. You can vent, protect your radiator from frontal shots. 50 caliber in a turret ring, and a 50 caliber anti-aircraft version. That's kind of cool. And this, oh, here we go. This is the Soviet, I didn't even see this behind me. I'm talking about the T-34 tank. When I was pointing at indoors, this is what I mean. Look at the turret. Look at this. It is crude as the day is long, but it doesn't need to be other than crude because it was going to be destroyed so soon. It wasn't a fashion statement. There's the driver's hole. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the guy with the food bag. All right. And that's the driver's hole. That's pretty good armor. Yeah, that's pretty heavy armor. There's the ammunition boxes on the floor. Okay, this is old school. Handle. You just do it like in the movies. Huh. This is a splash guard. Trust me, driving through water, you're going to get it up there and coming to meet you. But you can see how crude that turret is right there. You know, you're used to things being all machined and smooth and perfect. They weren't into that. And there's the Stuart tank again. The 50-mile-an-hour hot rod. That is a Sherman tank. You've seen those in all the movies, except the turret is wildly bigger. I think it's a 90-millimeter gun from the 75. It's a hypervelocity gun. Came in late war. There weren't a whole lot of them. The suspension is a teeny bit different, but that had the power they needed to punch holes in heavy German armor, which they didn't have until the very end of the war. If you watch the movie Fury with Brad Pitt, you'll see that. But the heavier turret and the heavier gun, they added this piece, because if you look at any picture of any Sherman tank, it doesn't have that. That's an extra hydraulic for the weight and for the recoil. And these guys are out here making noise, but I don't know why. Look exactly what they're doing. So let me walk over here. Just got a display. I think that's British right there. I don't know who you're going to scare with this thing, but it's nothing but machine guns. That's a 30. That's a pair of 30s and a 30 and another 30. I mean, it's cute. I can't see in here, but you can. I don't know what you're seeing, but that's the inside. This armor is, I don't know, half inch. That's cute. Again, I think that's British, but I don't know what it is. Well, here we go. Another hatch. Again, I cannot see in here, but you can. I guess probably had a driver and a commander slash gunner. That is a cobble wagon. That is the German equivalent of a Jeep. It has a 1200, I remember reading this years ago, a 1200cc Volkswagen air-cooled engine that had like 25 horsepower, and it got something like 40 miles per gallon. In the Desert War, they put oversized tires on it and deflated them partially, make them real soft, and you could drive these things over soft sand. It was only good for about 40 miles an hour. Yeah, those are real skinny tires. There's a company here in the States that makes these and sells them as kit cars. Hold on, I'm getting this in the shade. Okay, it's been a while since anybody said anything. That's the gun rack. Hold your rifles. And real simplistic interior, but underneath there's an air-cooled Volkswagen. Here's the vents, Volkswagen engine. Whoa. You go right ahead. Wandering this way. Gotta check my battery. I know I'm smoking it. 25%. I'm gonna go till this battery drops. Probably, because this place keeps going. Ooh, the Rooskies. Howdy, howdy. You guys got all the good stuff here.
We try.
Right on. Wow. This is the one you can't fold the bayonet. It's fixed.
No. It is removable.
Because there was one, I remember seeing a picture of people carrying it, and they said the bayonet was, you couldn't pull it off. It was to make you aggressive or something.
That's most of them. You're supposed to fight with.
Yeah, but I mean, they literally couldn't fold it down. Okay. Well, yeah, that's attached. But I mean, there was one rifle they had, you couldn't even pull it off, which seems ridiculous. But that's the Papa Shaw.
Yeah, I can't think of that.
It was a picture I saw and I read about it. That's the Papa Shaw. They made the barrels, they just cut it in half. Made one barrel, cut it in half, made two rifles out of them. You guys got all the fun stuff here. Wow. Any of this original?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. I love having this up here. This is cool stuff.
Look at the date of that one.
1923. Wow.
1920.
1920?
9.
20. Oh, okay. Trying to see if the glasses are light.
And that's a Tula mark.
Okay. Wow. I'm just glad there's somebody like you guys that collect this stuff and hold on to it.
We try.
You know, that's good. That's great, I think.
We've been doing it for how many years now?
Like 7.
Oh, 7.
At least you were smart enough to get some shade, because that outfit's got to be warm.
It is.
Yeah, it's more of the fact that I'm allergic to the sun.
Oh, there's no, I understand that.
It's bad when your face peels off, or you've got
You got it.
3 days.
Do you have
of-
XP?
Huh?
It's called XP. Do you have that allergic to sun? It's a word this long, but it's just they call it XP.
Oh, I didn't know they abbreviated it.
Yeah, there was a word.
Yeah,
I've heard of that.
when I was in the military, they told me, "Oh, wow, you're allergic to the sun."
Yeah, there's like 6 people in the world that are allergic to water. I'm not sure how they live, but they're allergic to water. Like brush your teeth and dry your mouth out with a cloth, kind of weird. But this is great that you guys have this. All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
You need to have some Soviet music playing real quietly when you walk off. You know,
Well,
something
we do
real
have
quiet.
that.
That'd be kind of funny.
We don't have the radio here for it. though.
Gotcha.
That's
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right. Rooskies.
They kept calling for it, but they didn't either go.
I don't know what this guy's doing. Building models. And look at that. There we go again. I'm a little off the display area, but let me wander over here. Kilroy was here. What are the odds? Yeah, that's a... if I turn the phone, it's just going to turn the picture. That's a DC-3 front end. A C-47, like the big one out front. with the Kilroy nose cone. Like I said, we're off the beaten path here. I'll wander back over. But the Indiana War Museum, Vincennes, Indiana, is where we're hiding out. This guy looks like, I guess he's models. No, remote control. Yeah, these are just logos. That's a P-39 Aero Cobra. We had them, the United States had, didn't like them. Notice the engine is behind the pilot, and there's a drive shaft between his legs to go to the prop, and there was a gun on the tip of the barrel, 37mm can. The Russians loved them, the United States hated them.
Well, that building was a warehouse. It's a cooler from the outside, so when you walk in, you don't realize how massive that is.
Whoa.
Of course, in like ours,
If you count on the wing here, three, there's a total of 650 calibers. The Corsair had 650 calibers. This is a P-47. It had 4 and 4, so it actually had 8, and they used it for ground strike. Alrighty. Going back over. This is pretty much the whole place here. You have to walk over there and see what that is. But I'm going to wander around here and find food. This is, I think they call this a BTR-60. This is another Soviet-designed, thin, armored thing. What does it say over here? A Soviet tank destroyer. BDRM-2. Okay. I'll take your word for it. I guess I missed on that one. Let me wander over here. I think this is the end of it. We've been going for, how long have we been going? Hour and 47 minutes. Holy crap. Let me wander over here. Yeah, there's your ambulance. Old school. Really, really old school. Checking my messages. Nothing. Nobody wants to talk to me. Wow. That's a big piece of artillery there. Muzzle brake. Okay, I'm going to walk over to the stuff that's not actually on display. These guys are selling stuff here. All ages, great use. Hold on a second. Okay, we're still going. Okay, this is the stuff they haven't finished up with. Alright. I'm officially going to cut this off here. This was fun. I enjoy being here, and I'm going to walk around and see what they're selling. There is a possibility I just lost audio, I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. I'm going to cut this off now, but yeah, I'm going to go find some food.